to ask you about that. So, as a coach now, and as a young coach, like handling these situations with players. So, if you get the back and forth with a player now, it's easy to kind of be like, all right, go back and forth, say your piece, and move on. But I know you as a player, as a feisty player, and so your first couple of years as a coach in going back and forth, is the response more of a challenge as a young player as it would be now? Because I know now you're like, nah, man, you young guys, whatever. But before, like young Doc, how did you handle those situations with players?
Boy, it's growth, Vince, and everything is different. I'll tell you, like early on, it's still like early on, I was less patient with it at times, and I want to hit it like guys got to get together, and then you realize. I will say this generation is a little different, and they're more passive aggressive. Which I think makes it harder. I thought I always laugh at when they say yesterday's player are better than today's player. No, they're not. It would be like saying, once I retired, the league didn't get better. Of course it did. They got better because of Vince Carter. They got better because of Michael Jordan. So of course they're better players individually. But I will say team-wise, the biggest difference to me that I see is the difference in how we talk to each other. If Dominique missed me, which he did a lot, I told him. I would tell him. And I was like, Nick, bro, listen, I'm wide the hell open. And Nick would say, I know.
In Dominique fashion.
In Dominique fashion, but you just told each other. Here's a big thing. I lived in a generation of no cell phone. I played my whole career, Vince, up until my 9th year with no cell phone. Think about that. So when I got on the bus, you know what we were doing? We were talking to each other. We were laughing. There was nobody from the outside that can get in to tell you, man, you should have shot more, or you should have got the ball more, or what somebody on TV said. And so the best part of the teams were getting on the buses, especially as crazy as it sounds, not after the good games. The games where you got busted. You knew walking to the bus.
They're gonna be
this is gonna be a long bus ride. They're gonna kill me tonight. Let's say Michael scored 50, which he did on me once, and I'm walking to the bus, I'm thinking about, all right. And you know what's funny, Vince? You're in a bad mood about it. You're like, because you're competitive, but you're getting on that bus thinking, man, and you can hear it. That doesn't happen today. It probably does with some teams, and those teams are probably the more mature teams that can handle it, but it doesn't happen as much, and I wish it did, because I think all that kind of banter is good.
And I agree, and I look at my first couple of years, up until my first probably 10, 11 years, so that would be Toronto and Jersey, and then social media started coming around, and like you said, cell phone became, now you can start texting on the phone, so things are different before the game. At halftime, more guys go to their phone more so, and social media plays such a huge role to the mental of young guys now, and can affect the difference in a half because of what someone said on the social media, which I always believe the biggest cure was what you just don't turn the phone on. Like, you're still at work, go watch your film and fix the problem, and you worry about what's being said in your locker room. So that was where I struggled as an older guy.
Oh, man. I struggle as a coach. I still do at times. You walk in and, early on when it first started, I'd walk in and guys would, put their phones up, like try to hide it. And I remember my coaches, especially like some of the old school coaches, even the young, I remember Sam Cassell, they got guys on the phone at halftime. And finally I just say, yeah, that's part of it. That's what we got to deal with, and then you could tell like a guy had struggled, or someone must have said something to a guy at halftime outside your locker room. Pat Riley used to call it the peripheral opponents. The peripheral opponents, when he coached, couldn't really get to the team until after the game. And now they can get to your team during the game and halftime of a game. And you have to deal with that. Guys have their own skill development guys that they'll talk to. And, the one thing about a skill development guy, his job has nothing to do with the team.
The individual.
It's just that guy. So the individual guy. So he's telling that individual guy, I think you got to get more shots up. Now, that doesn't mean that's good for the team. He's just doing his job, what's good for the guy. But that's terrible for our team. And that's the kind of stuff you do have to deal with now as coaches. You know, it's funny. College coaches have these rules. No cell phones in the locker room. Well, that sounds great. But I'm coaching grown men that have their own kids. You can't tell them not to have a cell phone.
I've been on teams that tried it.
Nor would I.
I've been on teams that tried it.
And how did that go, Vince? How did that go? 'Cause I'm
Explosion.
listening to this. Really?
Explosion. It's, I mean, because like you said, it's just everybody has whatever. So like for me, the only time I was on my cell phone, make sure my family and my friends got their tickets and got in. After that, yeah, I'm good. I didn't look at it again. But that's what I was used to.